All right, well, I'm Dr. Chad McMahon with Revelation Chiropractic. I've been a client with Madwire for almost 2 years, if not longer now. So if you didn't know that, you actually have really happy, really satisfied clients in Fort Collins. And as a chiropractor, and especially as a dad, like if you can go to the next slide, please. Like this is my family. About 4 or 5 years ago, before I had kids, I was at every marketing community event I possibly could do. I was trying to get my face in front of many people as possible, and that just took so much of my time. It took so much effort and time away from even my wife at the time. And so now, with Samuel, the 5-year-old, and Aiden, the 2.5-year-old, and Jace, the 8-month-old, having the freedom to not have to do those all the time, because I have a great company like Madwire to market and get our message out to so many people, has been such a blessing to us. So first off, thank you all for that, because I wouldn't be where I am today without some really good help from Madwire. And if you go to the next slide. So this is our team. All of our team is here. So again, this is after my family, probably the 3 most important people in my life, because these help support the mission and the vision that I have in a company. I know that in Madwire, y'all have grown so fast over the last even few 3 or 4 years that one of my good friends works here, Israel Labu, if you know him. But I've seen such great growth in this company, and it's just cool. But in my company, my growth is only happening because of my team. I'm only a small bit of chiropractic. I love on people, we serve people, but they get to see people twice a day, and I only see them once a day. So they see them coming and going. So my team is so amazing and so good. It helps me so much. So I couldn't really be doing this presentation even without them. So this is the big talk today about is stress. So if you didn't know this, every disease that you can think of is linked to stress. Whether you talk about high blood pressure, heart disease, cancer, and the thing about stress, that is almost, when we talk about a lot of diseases, how many of you may know someone that was diagnosed with cancer that had no symptoms? It happens all the time, all over the country, all over the world actually. And a lot of times even with heart disease, you can have absolutely no symptoms of heart disease and have a heart attack, and that can be the one that kind of takes you out. So the biggest issue that we talk about all the time in our office is that health is never how you feel. Health is how you function. And that's a really important differentiation, because so many people think that they're healthy and have a disease like cancer or have something brewing like heart disease. So the top 2 killers in the US have no symptoms. So to think about health, well, how do you become healthy? Well, number one, you have to have a way to deal with stress. So when you look at, they surveyed to people the top 5 causes of stress and coming to talk at a business, job pressure. So whether that's, the expectations of what your boss is having on you or your team, or all these things that we all have to do, that's number 1. Number 2 is money. Number 3 is health. 4 is relationships. 5 is nutrition. So what's interesting there is not one of those is actually physical. It's not like traumas. Everybody thinks of, if I have a symptom, it's from, I was doing some yard work and I hurt myself. The number 1 cause of most stress, of most dysfunction in most people, isn't even physical. So we talk a lot about in our office. Stress can be caused by the mental stress that you put on yourself, whether that's at your work or you worry about a lot of different things. Maybe you're really trying hard to meet that next goal of whatever your level of where you're at Madwire is trying to be at. And then there's always the emotional stress, whether it's relationships with spouse or kids or other people in your family. I would argue those are way more important stressors than anything physical. And so the question that we always talk to people or ask people is, where does stress attack your body first? Where do you think? You already know. So, shh. What do you think? Heart? Immune system? And you see all the the side effects. If you can go to the next slide, Steph. This is an interesting quote that I found that I thought was really cool. Same boiling water that softens the potato and hardens the egg. It's about what you're made of. It's what you're made of, not in the circumstances. So, boiling water can be great if you like boiled eggs. It can be great if you want to soften those potatoes, but it's still the same thing, that heat. So stress is always going to be bombarding our body, and it attacks our nervous system first. So the heart, the immune system, all of those things will either be elevated or it will be reduced based on how much stress that you're under right now. So if you go to the next slide, Steph. We have 2 different nervous systems in our body, if you didn't know this. So we have our central nervous system, of course, and it breaks down into the sympathetic, which is your fight or flight, stress nervous system, and then you have the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest. So as soon as you start thinking about, well, what do you notice when you have a stress response? Heartbeat is faster, you're breathing faster, your muscles are going to be used more. So when you're thinking about that stress, all of these things that are happening here, blood pressure increases, heart rate increases, inflammation actually increases. So I don't have to necessarily look at someone's paperwork and see all the things they have going on in their body and know that they already have a huge amount of stress if they're going to be coming out to see a doctor, whether it's a medical doctor or a chiropractor. And so all of these symptoms are kind of hard to see, but blood sugar actually, so diabetes is really nothing more than just extra stress on the pancreas. It has nothing to do really with your pancreas isn't designed well or it's not doing what it's supposed to do. It's because the stress is bombarding it. So you can't have these equally functioning at the same time. One is always winning. So if you're a person that has to take medication for blood pressure, cholesterol, or whatever it may be, you're significantly more on this side of the body where that is where all chronic disease is going to stem from. And with the immune system, when you're stressed out, do you think that your immune system works well or not well? Not well. So the biggest thing that everyone has to understand is, yes, stress causes headaches, neck pain, back pain. It creates some digestive dysfunction because that rest and digest nervous system is what calms the body down and helps the digestive system work normally. So the biggest key here is, well, how do I get more into that parasympathetic rest and digest instead of always being in fight or flight? So if you didn't know this, should we be in fight or flight all the time? No. So primitively, a tiger's trying to eat you and you're trying to run away. And then when you're away from that tiger, you shouldn't have that stress anymore. You should be more calm. But for most people, and if y'all are like this, like everyone is like this, we're in stress 24/7, 365. And it's really of no fault of their own. There was a study that came out. In 1 year, we experienced the stress of our grandparents' entire life. So if your grandparents lived to be 70, 80, 90 years old, we experienced that in 1 year. When you start talking about the toxins that might be in our food or in our air, in our water, the things that are going to be as far as there's other stressors, with work, with cell phones, like all of this radiation, so there's so many things creating all this stress. If you can go to the next slide for me, Steph. So this is just, when we have a normally functioning nervous system. So we always talk about, if you know what normal is, then you can easily regulate abnormal, and we try to, for most people health-wise, get them to where their body is functioning normally. And so normally, you're supposed to have high energy, you're supposed to have mental alertness, excellent health, to be active, to have a positive mental attitude. Those are all the things that are normal. And so what happens over the course of time, if any of these symptoms here in this middle section are noticed either in you or in your family or coworkers, like this is evidence of your body not in proper, normal, relaxed tone and being able to battle off stress. And so the long-term effects of exhausted nervous system, basically a nervous system that is ramped up, overstressed all the time, cancer, rheumatoid arthritis, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, the list goes on and on and on. If you didn't know this, how long does it take for cancer to develop in your body? Anybody know? Does it happen overnight? If I smoke a cigarette today, do I have cancer tomorrow? No. They're saying 10, 15, 20 years is what it takes to create a lot of these diseases that are what most people don't realize. Like that was a long time coming. So you have to be able, and even a lot of y'all are really young, you have to start thinking about this really early in life, because the sooner you start getting this under control, the longer and healthy that your body is going to be able to live, and not just live, but thrive, full of energy, full of vitality. Next slide. So chiropractic, I know some of you probably think about, I'm just going to briefly go through a lot of things about kind of what we do, but also other maybe ways to help you with dealing with stress. But number one, what I talk to people about stress is the best way to keep stress off of your body is to have some sort of consistency with chiropractic. And I know most everyone thinks about chiropractic as neck and back pain. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's what I thought about whenever I first went and saw a chiropractor. But the most critical thing is the first thing that was created when you were born, when you were in your mother's womb, what was the first thing created in your body?
Your heart?
No, that's what most people think though. Brain and spinal cord. So the brain and the spinal cord creates every muscle, every cell, every organ, every joint in your body. So we tell people with health and to deal with stress, to be able to function and adapt to all the stress that we deal with, The brain has to have 100% communication to every muscle, every cell, and every organ of the body, and every muscle, cell, and organ of the body has to transmit that signal back to the brain if something is wrong. If that flow of life is happening, we say from above down and from the inside out, if that's happening at 100%, you're going to be able to deal with the stress, the headaches, the aches and pains that most people just think is normal. And people say this all the time, headaches are common, but they're never normal, right? If you have aches and pains, shoulder muscles, low back muscles, whatever it may be, that's never normal. It's your body saying, hey, like something is going on, I need some help with this. So all of these are kind of the things that can show up with this word called subluxation. In chiropractic, we deal with something called subluxation. Fancy word for, anybody know what lux means? Electricians? Lux is light. So subluxation means less than the normal amount of light. You think about, people say energy flow, whatever, but the biggest thing that we like to say is, well, that interferes with that flow of above, that inside and out flow of life, and that needs to be happening 100%, otherwise there can be a disease process starting in the body. If we go to the next slide here. So these are just some of the easiest health benefits that probably 95% of our practice members notice. Improved health, increased energy levels, joint flexibility, pain relief, reduced stress. And how does this happen? Well, it's not that the adjustment that I do is so amazing. It's just when we remove that interference off of the nerve, who's the best doctor in the world? Who do you think? Don't Google that after this. It's you. It's you. So you went from one cell to a 7-8 pound baby in 9 months, needed no help. Of course, you had to be attached to your mom's placenta, but it needed no help reproducing and breaking and dividing and creating every single part of your body. Has that power left your body if you're sitting here right now? Of course not. So it's only been like when we have a dimmer switch on a light. It dims down that light. The light's still on, but it doesn't penetrate and it's not as bright as what it normally should. That's essentially what all of us walking around every single day are. We're either 100% and we're doing great, or our nerve supply, or you can call it your power supply, is diminished a little bit. And the worse that it's diminished, the less your body's going to be able to adapt and to heal. That's where chiropractic's biggest focus is. It's not to say, hey, we correct neck and back pain. Even if we said that, the FDA would shut us down, because the only thing that can cure anything is what? Drugs or surgery, right? So, but so many people in Colorado especially know that the best way to approach health first is from alternative sources, not saying, oh, well, and some of you may have family members, or you may have something like this going on, but if you have high blood pressure and the doctor's like, well, you have to take this medication, is that for a week, for a month, or is it almost understood that's going to be for the rest of your life? So health never comes from the outside in. If you look at studies, we're like the 37th in the world as far as how healthy we are and how long we live. In the entire world's population, we're 7th as far as 7% of the world's population we have in the United States, but we take 60 to 70% of the world's medication. So if health came in a bottle, we should be the healthiest, but we're one of the sickest countries in the world. So the whole point of trying to figure out, well, how do I become healthier? How does my family become healthier? You got to deal with this, I always call it a 4-letter word, stress. It's not a 4-letter word now. Can you make a slide for me? And this is what's important. 90% of the stimulation and the nutrition to your brain is generated by the proper movement of the spine. So the better things are moving in your body, joint-wise, muscle-wise, ligament-wise, the better stimulation to your brain, almost like a car battery. Your car battery gets stronger the more you drive it, and then so that the brain is the same way. The better you're moving, the better you're going to function. I can get the next one. So one of the things that we're going to be able to do for you guys today, if you're interested, is we have this state-of-the-art digital posture analysis. So it's a front and a side view. It'll send an email to you to see what your posture looks like, and I know that y'all used to be a lot better, it seemed like, with having more people standing while they're working. And if you want me to come by your desk today, I'd be more than happy to do that, to kind of show you what that would look like. But this is the biggest issue. Forward head posture leads to long-term muscle strains, disc herniation, arthritis, and pinched nerves. So y'all know this when you work with a client initially, like, hey, the beginning is not going to be that productive. We're not going to see much results with the first, maybe even 3 months. What do y'all say? First 3 months probably, Sarah? So the longer you're doing this repetitive marketing strategy y'all are doing, the more success your clients are going to have. And that's the same thing with our health. The more you put into your body health-wise that's going to be good and adapting and dealing with the stress, the sooner you start doing that, the better and better your body is going to be able to adapt. The longer you wait, the harder it is to be healthy. And sometimes you'll have a disease. So yes, so this is some other studies medically. Decreased blood flow from abnormal posture is a major factor in all disease. because that postural deviation produces stress on the nerves and on the artery. Dr. Windsor was a medical doctor. Basically, he dissected over 200 cadavers, found out what that person died from, traced that nerve back to the spine. 100% of the cases, there was significant degeneration, significant nerve pressure or atrophy of the nerve from the spine going to that organ. So basically, a medical doctor has proven that chiropractic isn't some weird, random, non-scientific kind of approach to health. It's actually very scientific. And then the actual loss of curvatures or deviations of your curvatures can take up to 14 years off of your life, especially talk about scoliosis or the really bad head forward posture. And then this is the biggie here that we talk about, 5 to 7 centimeters, the spinal cord can actually stretch. A medical doctor discovered that, and there was another study that found that, anybody remember from biology class what an action potential is? I know it's like, so I know y'all are probably neuroscience majors, but an action potential is how fast that a nerve sends a signal, and that just transmits from one to the other. So when you have nerve pressure from loss of curvature like this, it slows it down 60 to 70%. So instead of that reaction happening just like that, you're going to be way slower in the way that, if that happens over the course of 5, 10, 15, 20 years, that's when we start having these processes of not doing very well in the body as far as health-wise. Next, this is what I know a lot of people out there are probably already doing. I'm sure you can find one. Hopefully this isn't you. This is just a fun picture I used last time I was here, because last time I was here we did a posture talk on how to, ergonomic wise in the desk, but I just thought y'all would probably say, like, I'm sure none of you sit like that. Can you go to the next one? This is what I advise. Like, this is the most critical thing. Everyone on my team has a stand-up desk at our office. We never sit down. We're always doing this standing or moving all over the place, because this is how you keep yourself at a better position. And I would love it if at the bottom here there was a step stool or a stack of books, and you kind of go back and forth from standing on one foot to the other, and just making sure that you're trying to be as dynamic as possible. The more dynamic that you are at your workstation, the better you're going to be able to prevent a lot of these bad postural distortions and long-term aches and pains and bad habits within the spine or within the muscles. And I could easily send you all this email with these, but these are just some breakdowns. Veridesk is just a company that I like that produces a stand-up desk. Y'all have those awesome tables already set up for y'all, but these are just researches that they found of using a stand-up desk. So basically anything you can think of positive for your health, it's way better doing the stand-up option versus the sitting option. So like I said, if y'all, we have free posture analysis for y'all today, but if you want me to come by your desk, give you some help or some tips with that, I'd be more than happy to do that. And then next one, Steph. This is what our posture analysis looks like with the gentleman that works at OtterBox. And so it'll show you like all of these different positions of, your head should weigh this, but based on your position, you've doubled, tripled, or quadrupled the weight of your head, and that's just going to crush those nerves and those discs in the lower part of your neck, creating that long-term tension. So if you decide you want to do this today, it's complimentary. If y'all want to do it today, you'll get an email of the side view and the front view. We'll do both of them to see if you have distortions this way or from the side. Next one there, Steph. And then so what is the answer? So I put this picture here. The key to a better health at your work is to constantly move. So, I just purchased iWatch like off marketplace, like it was weird. I didn't want to buy a new one. And I was like, this is kind of cool because it makes me move. And the biggest thing is, in a job like y'all's, is being stuck in a rut or being like at your desk for so many times. So the move thing is great. How many of y'all have a smartwatch? Most everyone, I assume, right? So do you ever use the Breathe app, the Breathe thing on it, right? So how many of you know that most people don't breathe properly? Yeah, so like when we're talking about stress, when you don't breathe, you're just doing more like just throughout your day. You're not getting oxygenation to your tissues, whether that's your heart, your lungs, your muscles, your brain, most importantly. So if you ever feel like you're having some brain fog or whatnot, that's usually going to be, you just need to stop, walk away, get some good breathing going. That's why yoga is one of my favorite kind of recommendations for most people, is because not only is it stretching and elongating, it's strengthening as well, but it forces you to breathe. And one of the best ways to deal with stress is when as soon as you recognize that stressful environment, that stressful moment, stop what you're doing. Of course, it's a phone call. You can't do that if you're dealing with a client. But walk away, breathe, like sit down for a minute or two. If you have the smartphone, the smartwatch, whatever, walk through some breathing moments, because that's one of the biggest things to help get you out of that fight or flight, ramping up nervous system, and get you back to where you're calm and where you're relaxed there a little bit. So next one there. So the other big tips, like that's the end of the slides there, but what I love, everybody knows to exercise, right? I think, everybody knows that. But I think the biggest thing people don't realize, you don't have to work out for an hour. Like y'all have a gym here, right? Down in the basement or something. Yeah, so I would shoot for 20, 30 minutes. Like if you can, people think, oh, I have to work out for like an hour. If you just got 20, 30 minutes, I do burst, interval, HIIT training. So it's just basically low weights, basically all body weight things to where I'm just moving for 20 minutes straight and I'm done. Like I used to play football in college, but I'm not here to be, the bigger you're trying to build muscle, the less functional you can actually be. So for me, it's more about making sure cardiovascular wise and breathing wise, I get 20 minutes in with 3 kids. I don't have time to work out for an hour. I'm sure some people have kids too. So everybody knows with working out and eating, like we don't dive into a lot in the office about proper nutrition, but I'm very knowledgeable. And actually what I'm doing now, I think I told some of y'all, I'm doing Whole30 just because patients come into my office, what's the best diet I should do? So we've tried keto, we've tried Whole30, we've tried a lot of different diets out there to see, hey, well, every single person is different. But you better have accountability with dealing with diet, exercise, breathing, and dealing with stress. Without accountability, even as a team, I know y'all work well with teams, Foxtrot and Echo, and which one are you, Sarah? Foxtrot, yeah. So yeah, like working as a team, how critical that is for getting something done efficiently. Same thing with your health goals. You got to have somebody to keep you accountable. What's one thing that we do great as a team? All of our team members are always, how's your posture? How are you doing with your stretches? Do you need any help with anything? Because that is what day in, day out is what gets you to where you want to be. You don't go to the gym and work out, and then after the workout, you look in the mirror and you're like, I look better. You don't see that change fast. The problem is with our society is everything is so quick, fix, and fast. I'm sure I'll tell those people all the time with your dealing with a customer that's just not happy with just a few months into y'all's care or what y'all are doing for them. It takes time and repetition in every aspect of life to do it the right way. That's just the nature of the beast. It has to be done with time and repetition. So that's one of the biggest things we talk about a lot in our office to deal with stress. You have to have things that are in place that are going to be actually doable, like actually you can actually accomplish, but also that you have the resources and the accountability to do it. Cool. So we'll do posture analysis if y'all want. If you want to get some more food, we can do that as well. And if you had any questions, I'd be more than happy to stick around and ask. Cool. Any questions, guys? Gals?